At the beginning of the film recaps, we see a couple walking through a huge white-colored room. Everything in this room is white. In fact, the doctor is conducting an experiment on them. The experiment requires them to live in a room for 50 days without going outside. If they do so, they will receive 40 million crowns as a reward. However, if one of them surrenders, they leave empty-handed. They will get nothing and no one but them will be allowed to live in the room. Furthermore, they will not be able to talk to or meet anyone. They will not have any sources of entertainment such as television or mobile phone. Despite this, they are happy in the room. They believe it is the easiest way to make money. The couple starts talking to each other. The girl, Kate, says, "For this money, 40 million, I will fulfill all my dreams." Meanwhile, her husband says he will spend the money on parties. "I'll have so much fun and we'll have so much money that there will be no problem with lack of money." After a while, he hears the sound of a robotic device. This begins to tell them the rules of this place, how to live here. Anything they had to keep in mind and what not to do was also pointed out. There was only one bed, a bench and a simple washroom. Along with this, a small screen was also placed on the wall, in which all the rules for living in this room were mentioned. This means that only one person can use the toilet at a time. There was also a red button on the wall. Anyone could go out after pressing and giving up. Along with that, they could order food by pressing the screen. A large watch was also placed there, in which their 50-day timer was running. There will also be a big box for them. It has its daily edible items. Once night comes, the lights will automatically turn off, and they were also on in the morning. The device still tells them the current time with a message. Will it be morning, evening, or evening? The purpose was that you must rest as it will now be night. They were given the option to set an alarm as well. Kate's husband Mike lives there in his own way as his holidays are on. For this reason he slept late at night, while Kate sets her alarm clock so she can wake up early in the morning, and she could figure out her routine so the time of those 50 days could be shortened. Now he will spend his first night in this room. When it's morning, Kate goes to take a bath. He says to himself in front of the mirror, "Whatever happens, we have to win this challenge by staying here for 50 days. After taking a bath, she puts her clothes in the laundry to wash them. They are also given simple dresses to wear, but they were colorful. While having fun, they say thank God. At least we have colorful dresses. After some time, Kate tells Mike why the doctor wants this experiment. Mike tells her, "I don't know anything about it. All I know is that we have to stay here for 50 days and we have to get a reward of 40 crores $. Both try to engage them to pass their time. Kate practices yoga to calm down and relax, while Mike was staring at his watch that was running a 50-day timer. As he sits there, he begins to think about strange things, like why are the walls of this room painted white? Kate tries to make him understand that he shouldn't be thinking about all this. Don't look at your watch either. Just think about the time you will spend here and the money and reward. But it was hard for him, because he hasn't slept in the last few days, while Kate completes all her tasks according to the day-to-night routine. And he asks Mike to run to take his attention away from the watch. On one side, Kate was doing yoga and Mike was running. Later they start playing childish games to pass the time, and start dancing while putting their clothes in the laundry room to be washed. Again they get similar dresses to wear. Now many weeks pass in this manner. After a few days, Mike finds an insect in this room. She starts talking to him and thinks to feed him. But when a few drops of cocktail drip on the floor, he starts hearing the sound of a robotic device and says, "You can't do that. This meal is just for the two of you." Mike gets worried and tells the device that, "If we can't feed it that food, take my word for it. I push the red button so it can go out. Otherwise he will starve to death." When Kate saw this, she began to persuade him. "Look, the robotic device will no longer come to stop us. It disappeared after we stopped, so don't do it." He says, "What is this? I am worried about this insect. Otherwise, this poor insect will perish here." When he says that, he starts moving to the red button. They start arguing. Kate says after pressing the button, "We're going to lose this challenge. Then we will send from this place without anything." Mike says, "I know, but I'm not going out. I'm just sending these insects out." Mike later says after putting away the insect, "Kate, this is an insect. You are not sorry." Kate warns him that you will ruin the whole game because of these tiny insects. "You're out of your mind." After she said that, she started walking. But suddenly a bug gets under her feet and she dies. She is shocked and, after realizing what happened, apologizes to Mike, saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose, it just happens by accident." Mike doesn't believe her and spends the whole day in this room sitting in the corner. According to the rules of this room, they can only buy 2 things right now. They will come from outside and the money will be charged from their money. That will be a huge amount of money. Mike tells her, "I'm going to order my first thing." However, Kate forbids him, saying, Don't you remember how much of our money is used up when we outsource? Man's short of dollars, so please don't do it. But despite this, Mike doesn't listen to her and goes to buy his first thing. He gets green chalk, and when Mike sees it he says, "Oh, what I got, nothing will happen to it. But at least I could paint on the walls and pass the time." When Kate notices him drawing, she asks him to paint for her. He starts painting, and after a while Kate leaves because she is bored, but continues sketching until the chalk runs out. In this way he makes many drawings in the bathroom and on the walls outside. Later, Kate apologizes to Mike for her behavior after getting close to him. The good news for them is that they have now spent 20 of the remaining 50 days. One day Kate discovers a gun in the bathroom. They are both amazed to see how it got there. They kept it and hid it under the bed. According to the device, there should be nothing but clothes in the laundry room. After a few days, they receive a small gift that shows a video message from their family. Mike sees a message from his sister telling him, her mom and dad are perfectly fine, so don't worry about us. After seeing his sister, Mike is happy, but Kate feels quite upset when she is shown her father's video message. Her father replies, "I don't live on the road, I live in a house." Kate wants to stop the video, but it is not stopped despite her requests. Later, as she approached the washroom, she began to cry loudly. Later, Mike comes and calms her down and they both fall asleep. When morning comes, Kate doesn't leave her bed. She was still sleeping as her health had deteriorated due to the tension. When Mike asks why he didn't wake up, she says, "I was emotional because I saw my father after many years. I always lied that I didn't have my dad, because I was ashamed of him. He drank a lot and didn't pay my school fees." Later, Mike tells her to drop it all, and we only have 2 weeks left. After listening to his statement, Kate did not become happy and was still in bed. She tries many ways to make herself feel better, but all to no avail. He later lays down with her after coming over, but Kate doesn't mind. The next day Kate says, "Why don't we buy one last thing to end the boredom?" But Kate stops him by saying, "No, you already ruined the money. They will buy the useless chalk, so don't do it because I don't want to lose any more money now." When he hears this, he is sad. After some time, Kate comes to Mike after leaving her bed and says, "You can also order another item, no matter how much money we lose." Mike commands the second thing when he later touches the screen. Immediately, the door to another room opened. A girl then walks in who was not wearing a dress. When she walks in, Mike is shocked to see her. She tells him that, "I don't even know why I sent him here. I only got paid for, and I have to stay with you in this room for 24 hours. After seeing her this way, Kate asks Mike to take off his shirt and give it to her to cover herself a bit. When the girl sees Mike's paintings on the wall, she appreciates them. When Kate sees this, she becomes angry. At night, Mike asks both girls to sleep on the bed and he sleeps on the floor. But the girl starts behaving strangely towards Mike. Kate becomes angry as a result and makes Mike sleep in bed with her. And she sleeps between them and couldn't calm down all night. And she was irritated by her. When she woke up, she saw that the girl was not on the bed. She thinks she's gone, but when she goes to the washroom, he sees that the girl hasn't left yet but is still in the washroom. She bathed and put her clothes away again. Kate doesn't say anything, even unintentionally, and puts up with her. Later, 3 of them start dancing in the room around them. After doing this, Mike has a lot of fun going into the dream world, and he sees a black color around his 4 sides. He is then seen drowning in water. He also sees his younger brother, who is also drowning in the water with him. After seeing this, he is quite angry. Meanwhile, Kate and the girl approach him and bring him to his senses. He was still upset and started crying. He kept saying to save his younger brother from drowning. Later, Kate calms him down and lets him sleep on the bed. Later, the girl asks Kate about how she and Mike met. Kate tells her that, "Mike and I met in the rain. I didn't have an umbrella and Mike saved me from getting wet." Now, sitting this way, he keeps talking. After a while, Mike wakes up and sits next to the girl. Kate wasn't there and they started talking about their lives. The girl told him that, "I lost my mother in my childhood." Later, after sharing family problems, they support each other. They will make good friendships. Later, after holding Mike's hand, she asks him to change his mood and calm down. A moment later, Kate arrives from behind and notices them both holding hands. Seeing this, her anger rose, because she carried their closeness for a long time. He says to the girl that, "You wanted to catch my husband from the beginning, and he wanted to take it from me." When the girl hears this, she becomes angry with her. He says, "You're a strange girl, that you don't trust your husband." Alas, and later their argument escalates and they start yelling at each other. After having his fill, Mike yells at them and asks them to be quiet, and then he starts walking away from there. The next day, when they woke up, Mike wasn't feeling well. His health was not good and the girl was also gone. She wrote Mike a message before she left. It read, "No one ever loved me like you, Mike." Kate becomes angry with Mike after showing him this message. SHW says, "You are a cheater and you are deceiving me too." When Mike hears this, he says there is no such thing. Whatever she wrote is wrong. Whatever happens in this room is on purpose so we can fight. And we could give up, but still Kate won't listen. He shoves him and as a result Mike hits his head against the wall. His head starts bleeding and he gets angry when he sees it. He walks away from Kate and says, "I didn't cheat you. Even though you went after you left town. I always wanted you not to feel alone and stay happy. That's why I left to see my friends. I gave you time even though I left my studies. I have not left you when you live in tension. What I get as a reward is your suspicion and hatred." Kate is embarrassed when she hears this. He says, "Please forgive me, I didn't do it on purpose. I did it in anger." Meanwhile, Mike feels something. He falls down and says, "I'm not feeling well and I need a doctor." She brings him a cocktail and wraps a towel around his head, so his head can't bleed, and she says everything is available in this room. But there is no drug delivery device. Isn't that strange? Mike doesn't believe her words after hearing this. He says, "Are you really worried about my injury? What happens if you hit me hard in anger and I die? You will become greedy enough to kill me. Such money went to hell that one forgets one's identity. I hate this room and I won't stay here for a second. And I'll go out," and she'll stop him from going out. He takes the gun they found in the washroom. He warns Mike, pointing a gun at him, "If you try to go out, I'll shoot you." Mike ignores her and presses the red button. Later, the door opens and he walks out of the white room. After he leaves, Kate feels alone and begins to cry. And he sleeps there, and when he wakes up, he doesn't feel well. She was quite sad and started to miss him after seeing his drawings. Now Kate only had 2 days left in this room and could win the challenge. He also realizes his mistake, so it also goes out after pressing the red button. After some time we see Mike running, and as he runs he passes by Kate's building. On the way he suddenly comes with Kate. We later learn that after they left the room, they didn't see each other for months. Being angry, they decided to patch up now that they had moved on, and start going to the hotel for food. On the way, Mike asks Kate, "Did you complete this challenge? Or you exited after pressing the red button?" He does not respond and is silent. He says, "I misbehaved with you, so please forgive me." Later, after they both leave, we see a note on the building. It was written, "A famous man created this room, but his identity remains unknown." According to her, we can say that one should not be stingy, because greed leads to evil, in which we can lose our loved one. How Mike and Kate got lost for a while. The man may have intended to make this room. People can become better by being attracted to them, because when people spend time there, many of their inner qualities are revealed. When their greed ends and they realize their mistake, they will learn from this and never be greedy again. Later we see a couple in the same room, who came as Kate and Mike to meet this challenge. They were quite happy, as Kate and Mike were. Now the question is whether he will rise to the challenge, or after giving up, they return empty-handed like them, or he will also realize his mistake. The movie recap ends with this question.